Welcome to the Skull King Football Podcast, presented by Fox DFS Firelines. Now, here are your hosts, Justin and Ryan Skullrood.
Hey, Skull King Nation, welcome back to another Skull King Football Podcast. My name is Ryan Skullrood, and we've got another Inside Analysis interview for you today. In this episode, we are speaking with Bob Behler. He is the voice of the Boise State Broncos. And we have a conversation about the running back there, Jeremy McNichols, who took over after Jay Ajayi was drafted. And in his 2 years as a starter, has compiled over 3,000 yards, 43 TDs on about 550 carries. He has been absolutely electric for Boise State. And it'll be really interesting to see how his game translates to the NFL. And so I hope you enjoy the conversation that I had with Bob Behler, voice of the Boise State Broncos. Hey, Skull King Football. Welcome back to another Skull King Football podcast and another Inside Analysis interview. Today, we have a quick interview with the voice of the Boise State Broncos, Mr. Bob Behler. Bob, thank you for joining the show today.
Well, thank you for asking me. Appreciate it.
So let's, I know that you have a limited amount of time today, so let's go ahead and jump right into Jeremy McNichols, 5'9", 207 pounds, an absolutely electric runner. Why don't you give us just a little bit of a background, maybe of just the past couple of years especially that he has had?
Well, McNichols has been somebody that has been fantastic for Boise State. He, to me, is a very versatile back. He runs the ball well, can run it strong, can run it to the outside, and also is a very good pass receiver. He was recruited originally by most schools out of Long Beach to play wide receiver, and one of the reasons that he chose Boise State over some is because they were going to want him to use him as a running back. As a true freshman, he was kind of brought into the mix as far as being used middle of that 2014 season in which Boise State went to the Fiesta Bowl and beat Arizona, and he kind of became sort of an extra weapon is what they called him. McWeapon was the term that they used to describe him, where they used him some as a receiver and some as a running back, backing up Jay Ajayi, who went on to the Dolphins. The last two seasons in which he was second team All-Mountain West, both years, he was the feature back and really took the lion's share of the carries. He was durable. Again, he was athletic and somebody that I think, when you look at him, is every bit as good as the Martins and the Ajayis and the Johnsons that we've had here before.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his stats. What about 550 carries over the last 2 years, combined over 3,000 yards rushing, an average of about 5.5 yards a carry. 43 touchdowns in 2 seasons, and that's just carrying the ball. I mean, he's also got, 88 receptions, over 900 yards catching over those 2 years and 10 touchdowns there. I mean, he really has shown to be an all-around back, not only being able to run the ball, but be able to catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, he's also improved his blocking a little bit too, so I think he's a pretty good back. I mean, obviously, he probably likes somebody a little bit bigger than 5'9", 212, but, he's one of those guys you look at Jay and you look at Doug that weren't overly big that have, gone on to do very well in the pros. So he decided to forego his senior year, felt like he really couldn't do, a whole lot more. Rushed for 1,700 yards last year, rushed for 13, as you mentioned, the year before, and, over 3,000 in his career. And he was a guy that, knew where the pylon was. He found the end zone better than 20 touchdowns rushing each of the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, he has an elusiveness, and you can see his vision as he's especially as he's working down like on a stretch play coming down the line. He's got his shoulders turned so that as soon as he needs to, his hips can turn and go straight up the field. He has that ability to make that quick cut to get up the field and not just outrun someone around the corner, but be able to make those cutbacks in order to get those extra yards that are needed.
Yeah, I think that I think he'll probably be a late round pick. I think he'll probably go somewhere from 4 to 6 probably, and he'll need to find the right team, as is the case of a lot of players out there for the draft. I mean, you look at a lot of different running backs, and the running back position seems to be pretty deep this year in the NFL draft. But you've got different styles. It's almost like Baskin Robbins. You kind of look in the counter, you can see different flavors of that are there. And I think that, just looking at the ones in this conference, you've got Hill from Wyoming, who is a little bit thicker guy, might be a little more suited to somebody that wants to use somebody between the tackles. You've got Pumphrey that probably, is the smallest of the three. There's probably a little more of a scat kind of guy, third down back, and McNichols is probably somewhere in between. All three are good. All three probably will, get picked and make a roster. But, I don't know that they're going to compare any of these guys to Adrian Peterson, but I think all of them probably are pretty good.
Yeah, I think the one major comparison that I've actually seen of Jeremy McNichols is to a guy who is pretty highly touted after he got drafted last year out of Louisiana Tech, and that's Kenneth Dixon. They're about the same size. See, Dixon's 5'10", about that 215. McNichols is about, was at 5'9", about 214, so about the same size there. And you look at all their measurables, their bench press, their vertical jump, their broad jump, their cone drills, everything is almost identical except for their 40 time, in which Jeremy's almost a tenth of a second faster than Kenneth Dixon. I think that I think that shows that he's got abilities that people are looking for, that teams have found and are looking for in a running back.
Yeah, I think talking with him at the Boise State Pro Day, he was there. He did not participate because he had some shoulder surgery. And then, coming off the camp, off the combine, he seemed very happy, with what he had done at the combine. So I think, he's satisfied and, doing some interviews. And, I think the numbers he's put up, both, in the measurables and also in the stats, I think he's, left himself in a good position to get picked.
Yeah, I think that he will find a team that will use his abilities well. I'm very, as a fantasy football analyst and website, I'm very interested to see where he'll go. As being him being a possible sleeper pick to look at down the line. I'm really excited to see how his game will translate to the NFL.
Well, I think that's the biggest question with a lot of people in the draft. How they translate to the next league, and also, what they do to fit into the team. Because I think a lot of times when you're looking for pieces, we're not talking about superstars here. We're talking about people who are going to contribute to your team making the playoffs. Different teams are looking for different stuff, whether that be on offense or defense.
Yeah.
And they need to find the right one. And you are hopeful that the team that chooses you is somebody that is looking for whatever you're having to offer.
Yep. All right. Well, I know that you've got a meeting to get to, so thank you so much, Bob. This has been our conversation with the voice of the Boise State Broncos, Mr. Bob Behler. Thank you again for giving us a little bit of your time to talk about Jeremy McNichols.
Thank you so much. Good luck, and good luck to Jeremy as the draft comes in a couple of weeks.
All right. Yeah. If there's next year, if you got a couple more players out there, I'd love to get a chance to talk with you again and discuss some players.
Great.
Hey, Skull King Nation, thank you for listening to the Skull King Football Podcast. Did you like this episode? If so, be sure to go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube to subscribe. Also, please leave us a rating and reviews to let us know how we can better help you rule your leagues.